Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Monday, the 9th of November, 2015, and this is episode 154, Sockvember. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. How are you doing? Today is another one of those days where I'm like, ah! Last night, 3 of the guys on overnight grocery, the people who stock the shelves, called in, which was half of the people supposed to be putting up the stock. So I had been at work for 20 minutes and the co-manager came up and said, "So how late are you scheduled? Can you work until 3 in the morning?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, that's fine." And then she was like, "Do you know how to throw stock?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did that for 2 years." And she was like, "Oh, okay, well that makes sense why he would ask if you could stay." He being the guy who, the night crew leader. Because last winter, probably mentioned on the podcast, I helped throw stock several times when people called in due to inclement weather, because my SUV can go anywhere and I live 5 minutes from the store, so I'm not really that worried about getting home at 3 o'clock in the morning after throwing stock. So I did that, and then I woke up this morning being messaged saying, "Hey, how early can you come in today?" So I don't know what's going on at the store, but my knitting time for the day is very short because I slept in a little bit, and now I guess I'm going in early, depending on when Steve gets home, because I can't leave until Steve gets home, obviously. Anyway, the Finisher Frog craft along, going very well. I feel like I should take a picture of my blanket with all the projects. Maybe I'll do that today. We'll see. Today is jam-packed. Excuse me. It's already 12:30. I haven't done anything really. A little bit of cleaning. I don't know if you can hear the water running in the background right now. Mara's running a bath so that she won't be in here the whole time I'm trying to record. And then we have to run out to the yarn store because a girl at work wants one of those really cute animal hat things, hat cowl set. She wants the wolf one. So I need to get yarn for that. And then my best work buddy almost bought a headband last night, and she was like, "Do you think this is cute?" And I was like, "Sure, I guess." She said, "Do you think it's like $10 worth of cute?" And I thought about it and I was like, "Yeah, that's probably worth $10 of yarn to make the same thing. Except I know that the yarn is on sale for half price right now, and I have a coupon." So I told her I would make it for her for $5 because she looked at the price of her checkout and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I need you to take the headband off because that's a lot of money." So we'll make the headband for her for $5 because she's like my best work buddy. Anyway, so yeah, I have to go get yarn for that today. And I'm going to Joann's because that's where the yarn is on sale and I have the coupon for. But I'm a little disappointed because last time I was in there, they didn't have any sock yarn. I'm going to relook this time because it was just a very quick in and out thing last time, but they didn't have any sock yarn. Like, no sock yarn section, not just that it was empty. So I'm going to double check, but if that's true, I'm going to be very disappointed. The other craft along that is coming up in 3 weeks is the ending and mending craft along. So we will be weaving in ends and other finishing type stuff for projects, and mending broken things, like the pile of socks that I have to darn, because I just took another sock off of my drying rack and put it into my mending bin yesterday. My Zipper Laxagon socks. The first ones I made a long time ago. There aren't holes, but there's a line on the bottom of one of the hexagons on one of the feet where it's getting threadbare, where I picked up the stitches or I can't remember if it's where I picked up the stitches or where I did decreases or something. So yeah, that's going to have to be mended. I'm going to show you all of those though, probably a picture or something at the beginning of December so you can see what I plan to mend, and we'll see how that goes. Also on the list is my mitered square blanket. Several of the squares have holes in them because Mara loves it so much and she literally drags it around the house. I try to keep it located just on my chair, but it is her blanket, so sometimes she drags it around a little bit. So several squares will get mended. Anyway, rules for that will be upcoming in the thread. I wouldn't look for it anytime before Thanksgiving, but yeah, that'll happen. And finished objects. One I had finished last week and I forgot completely to tell you about it because it wasn't sitting on my desk right here. This is where I keep my finished objects during the week, so that I have them to talk to you. But it was Gabriel's Ninja Turtle hat that I made for Halloween. And the pattern is by Amy Lehman. It's made out of Red Heart Super Saver cherry and Red Heart Super Saver green yarn. I don't know the colorway off the top of my head, and I didn't write it down. And I worked that out with a US G hook, I think. I don't know. I did change the pattern though, because I think the pattern calls for a size H hook. Yeah, I used a G. And my G was handy, and I didn't want to go searching to see if maybe I knew where an H hook was. So I used the G hook, and I did the increases per pattern, but then I lengthened the, like the, I don't know, what's this called? Not the crown, the body of the hat, I guess, by 3 or 4 rounds before I started the mask part. Just because it was looking a little short, and I probably could have done 1 round less than I did, and it would have fit fine, but whatever, it'll be okay. The other finished objects I have, I'm really excited about. They are the Frankenstein socks by the Czarina of Socks, and last week I had 1 together, I believe. This week I have both together, and here is what the front of the sock looks like. So the sock is designed to be a sheep to sock competition pattern. So 5 people knit on the sock at once. So toes and heels are made as one piece. This lower portion is made, both socks, as one piece. 5 people knit on the socks at once, but each part of the sock is only knit 1 time. This ace bandage section, which wraps around the instep, is another piece, and then this, which you can see has a seam. The leg is a piece, and then this cuff is a piece. It's a paid for pattern, but I don't think I'm giving too much information away. It says on the pattern that it's knit in pieces, so there's that. So I blocked them, and I am pretty certain that I mentioned last week that I was having instep issues with this sock because this increase area, yeah, I talked about this. This increase area is not elastic, but I haven't worn them yet. I just blocked them. I tried them on after I blocked them, and it's still a little tight. I'm going to wear them today and see if that loosens up at all or if I need to do surgery. My thoughts are that if I were to remake these socks, I would, of course, use a stretchier increase, but also I might do a couple additional rounds on this just to make this ace bandage section a little bit wider, because I do have a high instep, and If I had really thought about it with the pattern, I probably would have added a couple rounds to it. But I didn't, and I don't want to take apart this sock because that would be a ton of work. There's the ace bandage is grafted on either side, and then there are these sections that attach it in the front. It'd just be too much work. So if it doesn't work out, if I can't wear these because this part is too tight, it's just too tight, I am going to cut the knitting without a pattern to go off of, but I'm going to cut down the center part of one of these. I might take out the graft, or I might cut the other side. I haven't decided yet. Probably the graft, because that would be the safest, because it's meant to be there. That graft is meant to be there, so that sewing part is meant to be there. And add a little garter stitch section, probably 2 or 3 garter ridges in between going this way. I thought about doing them short ways, but I don't think that I need it that way. I think it would be easier to just pick up however many stitches per row and then knit back and forth 6 times and then graft it in, kind of. Those are my thoughts. We'll see how it works out. I'll let you know next week what I decide. I don't know that I will get to fixing it in the next week, but I'll let you know what I decide. So they're officially finished, both socks, and I'm going to wear them right now, actually, because even though I'm wearing a tank top, I don't know what I was thinking. Well, I was thinking that I haven't been awake that long. Okay, so it's 12:40. I got up at 11:30, got out of bed. I've been sleeping the entire morning. Steve didn't go to work until that time. He didn't leave the house until 11:30. And then he was like, okay, I'm walking out the door. I was like, okay, I'm getting up. I don't want to, but I will. So anyway, I was under my nice warm blankets when I got up this morning, and it was warm enough for the tank top, and now I'm sitting and I'm cooling off. So let me show you really quick, now that I have the socks on, what I'm talking about. I don't know if you can tell that this is pinching in. I think I have a picture of it that I can show where it's kind of obvious, but maybe not. We'll see. We'll see about that picture. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I may have deleted that one because it didn't look pretty. Okay, so much talking. Works in progress. I have a lot of them. The first one I'm actually really, really proud of. My progress on it. It is My Coat of Many Colors by Sandra McIver from the Knit Swirl book, and I have exceeded the goal of 1,666 or 67 stitches a day all week, except for one day, I don't remember which day, where I only made 1,300 stitches, but I carried over the leftover stitches into the next day as part of the goal for the day. So I have done in the past week 19,457 stitches, which I'll put down at the bottom of the screen what the breakdown of stitches per day is, but it's more than my goal number, which is good. Here is the sweater. That stitch marker doesn't count for anything, so let me see if I can find the stitch marker that does count for something. It tells me where I was last week. And you can look at all the pretty fabric that's on here. Oh, there it is. So that's not very helpful, but okay. Last time I was here, I had just started working flat, apparently. So let's follow this around. Let's follow this welt around to the front. Okay. If my stitch marker was in where I had been working, it would be here, right here. and I have knit all of this, which looks like a lot, but it is and it is not. You go to working flat and there's lots of decreases on the working flat part, and then you go back to increasing for the sleeves. So now I have all of the stitches I need for the sleeves, and I'm going to be working straight, no increases or decreases, for the around the arm part of the sleeve. So that's exciting. I'm onto the sleeves. And I'm no longer worried about running out of yarn. This is the end of the 5th skein of yarn. I have 2 more, and I am on the sleeves, which is halfway through the sweater welt count wise, a little more than that, but the stitch count is much smaller than the stitch counts at the beginning, so I'm not really that worried about running out of sweater yarn. So this is my coat of many colors, and I don't plan on doing a lot of knitting today, but I do plan on meeting the quota for this because, you know, that's kind of important to me. And yeah, I will have this finished by the end of the month, which is really, really exciting because I really want it. I don't know. It wasn't the right time for the sweater or something. Who knows? Who knows why I wasn't knitting on it. It is 1:41 a.m. on Saturday to Sunday, and I just want to give you an update on the sock because I said I would. Okay, so I did the toes 2 at a time, magic loop, and then I did the legs one inside the other, and I'm doing both of mine where they're knit. Oh, oh no, the worst thing ever happened. So I thought that I had been paying really good attention, but it looks like I have stitches bound together. Crap. It's much less scary than I thought it was, because if I really had stitches bound together and I was able to pull it out like this, you would see the pull from the stitches. One stitch would be pulling really, really bad. So that's not it. I had a problem where I broke some yarn and it got woven in. Anyway, so here are the socks, one from inside the other. And the reason I was crapping is because I'm knitting with one strand for one sock and one strand for the other, and they're both over my hands like this. So I knit the outside sock with the yarn over my thumb, bring that to the front, knit the inside sock with the yarn over my finger, and always keep that in the back. And then I move the outside yarn back behind the stitches and knit like that. And you have to be really careful when you're doing it because you don't want to twist the strands at all, because then the socks get stuck together, which is what I thought was happening, but that's not what was happening. So 2 socks, they're separate. I was considering doing the entire socks parlor knitting style, but it's slower than if I just did them 2 at a time. So there's that. It's not very fast. It's a cool technique, but I've done it, so I don't really feel like I need to keep doing it. And also I'm about to start ribbing. And in ribbing you have to manipulate where the yarns live anyway. You know, front for knitting, back for, or front for purling, back for knitting, unless you're doing Norwegian. But I don't even want to get into trying to figure that out with holding 2 strands in my hand and not twisting them. So I am going to separate these socks and work them magic loop, just magic loop for the ribbing. So yeah, I'm going to go separate those and then show them to you. Oh, another reason why I'm doing it is because my gauge changed significantly. Did I already say this in this video? I don't know, it's the middle of the night and I'm starting to get tired. I usually crawl into bed at about 2, and then I'm asleep by 2:30 or 3. So I'm getting tired. It's almost bedtime. Can you tell how different the gauge up here is from down here? I think it's super, super visible, but maybe not. Okay, I was going to just do this and whatever, but then I started separating and I was like, oh, what if I want to do the big reveal on the podcast. So really not eloquent at this time of night. Also, I washed my hair like 6 hours ago and it's still drying, so that's what all this is. Anyway, so they're on separate needles, but I haven't pulled the inside sock out of the outside sock yet. So let's see if it worked and hope that that stitch marker isn't going to get stuck. Nope, it's not. One sock from inside the other. Very exciting. Okay, so I have 2 socks, and now I'm going to start knitting them 2 at a time, magic loop. But I did make a little bit of progress since I showed you what was going on. So you can see this is the beginning ribbed section. I didn't do the ribbing like I have been doing for the kids' socks this year. I did it back the old way from the pattern, just because that's what I felt like doing. Maybe you can tell now how different the gauge is between the toe and this section. The section's really loose. So I'm glad that I didn't do that on my my Frankenstein socks, because that would have made the foot part really thin. And I do wear out my socks on the balls of my feet, which is where that lower tube covers. It's mostly instep, but I wouldn't want to wear that out on socks that are so cool. Let's see. So I'm almost through the first ribbing section. I have 3 more rounds of this ribbing, and then 12 rounds of the next ribbing, and then 10 rounds of the last ribbing. So if I work on these at all, they'll be finished by next week. Easy peasy. The yarn is Sun Valley Fibers, the 80-20 blend in the Woodside Gold colorway. I'm working that on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. Sweater specs, knit that on US size 6 with 4.0 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Knit Picks Swish Tonal in the Canopy colorway. Everything else is new on the needles, yeah? Oh, except Jaws. Ooh, you can see over my shoulder right here, I filled up the spindle, so I wound off half of the single. It's a quarter of the fiber is on there right now. So let's talk about Jaws, because it's been a little while, right? I just started spinning this bit on the spindle yesterday. I put in like 5 minutes just to get it attached. So it has this blue to gray to red to gray back to blue. And it is from Spun Right Round Yarn and Fiber, the Jaws colorway. And I am doing this as a fractal spin. So what I did was I split the braid in half down the middle and spinning 1/2 just as that split piece. So it's got long, big color blocks. And then the other half I split into, I tried to get them the same size, but obviously I failed there, into small balls so that the color blocks will be much shorter. And I'm spinning them that way separately, each half together by itself, but separate from the other half. It was really poorly worded. Sorry, I think you understand what I'm saying. And then I will ply them together, and what this does is it maximizes barber pulling. It looks really, really cool. I really like fractally spun yarn. I haven't knit any myself. I haven't spun any for myself and then knit with it, but I have spun some for Josh, and he's actually using it to make Frankenstein socks right now. So if you haven't checked out the Sort of a Knitter podcast, you can go see my hand spun in action. And it's really, really pretty. So yeah, that's how that's going. I might start plying that this week. We'll see. I might just continue spinning the single. We will see next week. I don't know. There's not much going to happen today because I'm going to be too crazy. Anyway, new things. So I cast on a hat sample. It's a design hat that I made at the beginning of the year. I don't know. It's already been test knit, and all it's waiting for is a sample that I can photograph, because the yarn that I used, while pretty, is not going to photograph well. It's not going to show the textures and stuff in the hat. So I picked a neutral. This is going to be the hat. It should be finished by next week, but again, that depends on how much I work and stuff. I made okay progress on it, and I'll tell you more about it when I release the pattern, which should be soon, because as I said, it's already been test knit and the pattern is formatted except for pictures. So I just have to do that, and then it will be up. Speaking of patterns up, I don't know if I mentioned that the distaff was released on Ravelry. Also, thank you, Allison. I saw your message this morning, and or last night, I can't remember, and I actually activated the pattern. I forgot to do that in my Ravelry store. The way it works when you're publishing a pattern on Ravelry is you go through all of these steps to give all of the information for how the page will look. When you go to a pattern page and you look at the pattern on the pattern page with all the specs and the notes and everything from the designer, you go through a process to get all of that. And then at the end of that, it gives you the option to, you go to a different page to upload your PDF. And then on that page where you upload your PDF, you have to click the activate button. And I forgot that part. So if you've been looking at the distaff pattern, it's actually activated now, and you can get the pattern. You can download it. Sorry about that. I also cast on 2 other pairs of socks, because apparently this month is all about the socks. I finished a pair, I have 3 pairs on the needles, and I have a plan for another pair. I'm going to make the Raptor. It's not cast on yet, which is a Knitty pattern, and it is the love child, basically, of 2 other Knitty patterns, Skew, which is a sock knit on the bias, and Longitudinal, which is a sock knit sideways. So this sock is knit sideways but biased. I'm pretty excited about that. I've made the Skews. I have not made the Longitudinal, though they are still on my list, I believe, in my queue, but maybe not. But I plan to make them eventually, even if they're not in my queue. So those should be started this coming week. I think I will stop myself from casting on until I finish these child tube socks, but after that, I'm going. I'm waiting because Josh and I were supposed to do the Frankenstein as a knit-along, and then I started before him. And he was also like, oh, we should do the Raptor as a knit-along at some point. And, well, now I'm ready to do the Raptor, because my sock yarn, my sock stash, my personal drawer of socks is looking kind of empty. So it's time to knit some socks for me. I have the Frankenstein now, but I am going to make the Raptor for me also. And I'm waiting because I don't want to be like, okay, well, I said I would knit this along with you. But also, Josh doesn't knit socks that frequently, so I'm waiting to cast on, but I'm not going to wait too much longer. I want them finished this month so I can have them. So the 2 socks that I cast on, one is from the Fellowship of the Socks book by Claire Ellen, and it is the Samwise socks. I'm knitting these on DPNs. I because they're for Steve and he has really big feet. So also it's a really heavily patterned sock, and I always feel like those take so much longer when I'm doing them 2 at a time magic loop. There's just not a lot of progress for me. Not enough progress. So here is the sock. I'm using Peyton's Croy Socks FX in Celestial Colors colorway. Here is the front detail, and then the back detail. I'm kind of glad that I made these socks for Steve because I don't like this cable. The X's and O's cable. Aesthetically, I don't find it pleasing. Even though I like the sentiment behind it. I don't, for me, I'm like, ugh, I don't like that. But the pattern is pretty intuitive. The front, I've only done a couple repeats, so it's not quite to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this without looking at the chart. But the back, I did without the chart. I looked at the chart once and I was like, okay, I got this. I'm on the gusset, and the front looks so nice, I think. You can't even tell where I threw in the heel and gusset. The second one, of course, when I make it, because FX does this thing where it changes color one ply at a time. Of course, when I do the second one, it's going to be a huge break in the color where I do the heel, because that's just pretty magic, and I won't be that lucky again. That's the first sock. The other sock that I'm working on. Okay, you cuddle on my chair. Is the Aramis by Caoua Coffee, Caoua Coffee. This is the Aramis, and it is designed after the Musketeer character. I love the Three Musketeers, the Disney one with Kiefer Sutherland. He's my favorite character in that movie. Anyway, I love that movie so much. So when I saw her Three Musketeers patterns, I immediately cued them, or his, I don't know. I don't know anything about this designer. I'm just going off of the assumption that anything that ends in A is female, because that is what Spanish taught me, Spanish class. So sorry if you're a male designer. I assume you don't watch this podcast, because we actually have a lot of people who watch, but not that many. A lot for me. It's like 400 subscribers on YouTube, which I think is a crazy amount. It's not like 4,000, but that's still a lot of people who are subscribed to this channel. So thank you guys. I don't think I say that ever, but I really appreciate that you guys watch and interact. And obviously it's not about the numbers, because when I started this podcast, I think I had like 2 subscribers. But it's really fun to think that so many people are interested in what I'm talking about every week. Sorry about that. She's out of her bath, clearly. So anyway, here is the Aramis. So you do, oh, that's not very pretty. So this is the end of my round. You can see that right there, but that'll be not visible. You start with ribbing, and then you do some garter ridges, and then you go into this lovely texture pattern. And it says to go to 7 inches for the leg. I don't know if I'm going to go to 7 inches or if I'm going to stop a little bit short of that. I think I'll have plenty of yarn. This is Fleece Artist Trail Sock in the Forest colorway, and I'm working on US 1 circular needle. And the outside of the cake is a mess because it's been put into and taken out of my work bag so many times. But whatever. Also, this is one of those skeins of yarn where it was really pretty in the skein, and then I caked it up and I was like, oh, that is so pretty. And then knitting it, it's even prettier. I love skeins of yarn that are like that, where you know you like it, but then you start working with it and it's even better. So yeah, that's my progress on the sock, and it's really, really pretty. I anticipate making the Athos and Porthos socks in the near future, so like the next 2 years or something, because they're also very, very pretty. I picked this one because it was the least complicated of the three, and I knew I was going to be knitting on this sock, and the Raptor sock is also going to take some concentration, so I wanted something that I could take to work for knitting, which I do. This is work knitting. Also elliptical knitting. It's pretty simple. I did square number 48 for my barn raising square, which means next week there will be a picture of 49 squares all together. And then I'm kind of thinking that I will pack them away in some sort of container so they're not getting lost, and then restart the series of pictures for the barn raising square where I do it every squared number. So anyway, this is number 48, and this is 716 knit sock yarn in a custom colorway that she did for Haley. Okay, we'll go get dressed. I'm running around in a towel all wet and I'm cold. Children. I don't know what this colorway is called, but oh my gosh, I love it so much. And I was working on this at work while I was giving Fuel Center a break, and we are not supposed to do anything while we're sitting in the Fuel Center, which because a customer complained like 3 months ago that someone was reading at the counter. But I can't sit there for 15 minutes and do nothing, especially because my interaction with customers is super infrequent. Most people just pay for their gas with a credit card. So sometimes I'll be out there for, 20, 25 minutes and one person will come up. So I'm knitting. And I was knitting, and when people come up, I drop my project in my lap and make eye contact and talk to them. And like, as soon as I see someone walking up, I just stop what I'm doing, because it's customer service. The customer's more important than my knitting. Anyway, apparently, and a shirt? Yes, you can wear a dress and a shirt. Apparently, someone had been watching me knit while she had been pumping her gas, and she came up to pay for something, and I was cashing her out, and she said, "By the way, that's really pretty," pointing at my lap. And I was like, "Thanks! I love it so much." But anyway, it was just nice. It's nice when other people think that what you're working on is really pretty, because I love this colorway. I really want a pair of gray knee socks with these stripes just at the top, or similar stripes. It doesn't necessarily have to be this colorway, but as I was working on these, I was like, wow, I really, really want some gray knee socks with neon stripes right at the top. So that might happen soonish, in the next 3 years. That's soon for me, right? Because if I'm making something for myself, it's going to be a long time from now. I already made these Frankenstein socks. I'm making a sweater, and I'm going to make Raptor socks. Everything else for me is just going to have to wait a little while. I did 7 hexapuffs this week, and this one is not celebratory, but I think that's the only one that's not. This one has a ridge. This one, I have a tuss knit out, and there was a problem with it at the end of a round, and I wrote up the pattern as I was knitting, but I wrote it incorrectly. But I couldn't remember exactly what had gone on. So I needed to do that portion again, but I didn't want to make a whole new cowl thing. So I just did it on Hex Puff. So it has the short row section. So it's not even, but once it's sewn into the blanket, it'll look fine. I'm not worried about it. This one has ridges at the stripes. This one has some ridges just thrown in randomly. I think the top half is garter ridges every other. And then this one has two yarns, two scrappy bits that are striped together, and one yarn is always a garter ridge and one yarn is worked flat. I just have to Kitchener that one together, and then that will be all 7. Oh, this one was hiding. So that's the other one, and it's got ridges where the colors change. Yeah, put the dress on and I'll put the buttons on. And because I did 7, that was my rule, right? Was it 7? I think it was 7 last week that I said. I'm hoping so, because that's what I went with. I did 2 squares. You're not 6, you're 5.
No, I'm 6.
She's silly. I did 2 squares on my miter square blanket. So I did this one, which I made the zipper laxagon socks out of. And this one, which was a mini skein from ZK 2014, I want to say. So here is my blue and green mitered square blanket. I just want to knit on this all the time. But that's not the rule. I need to work on the other... I need to work on the hexapuffs because I need a bajillion. I want to show you my hexapuff thing really quick. I finished another row of hexapods. Excuse my stained thing. If I had realized I was going to stand up and show you things, I would have worn something that wasn't with a bleach spot on it. But that's what you get because, you know, that's where I'm at. Anyway, yeah, that's the hexapuff blanket, and it's got another row of hexapods finished. And now I'm going to fix some buttons on her dress. So that was a really exciting moment. So now I get to start adding the next row of hexapods on. And I'm excited for this blanket to be growing. I should work on it more. Other random side note, I have almost worked through the stash of hexapuffs from other people. All of the ones from Vicky have been made into pods. All of the ones from Carrie have been made into pods. And I am almost, I think I have 5 more of Christina's that will be made into pods. And for each of those people, I only used 1 a week when I made the pods. So I almost have everybody else's puffs into pods, which is really exciting. I still have a ton of mine that need to be made into pods because I only use 9 hexapuffs a week to make into pods. So yeah, that's how that's going. These are from the Beekeeper's Quilt by Tiny Owl Knits, and I knit mine on US 3s, which is 3.25 millimeter needles. The barn raising square pattern is not the one from the book. It's barn raising square baby blanket, I think is what it's called. I don't remember off the top of my head who it's by. I work on that on a US 2.5 millimeter needle. And this blanket, I am using the square pattern from Shelly King's sock yarn blanket, whatever that's called. I don't know. So I'm using the decrease method that she uses, but I'm not setting it up how she set up her blanket. I'm going to have straight edges on this blanket, but mine's a 35 stitch square, and I'm working that on US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. I have a new thing to show you. This was from, I have awesome friends. So this came to me in the package that Josh sent me because I had to leave so many things behind when I came back from the ZK. And this is from Jenna, 716 Knit.
I found a shirt.
And I have this
found a princess.
Gorgeous bag of mini skeins. So many awesome colors.
Princess.
This is yarns that she had used and broken up into mini skeins. Some of them are her colors, but a lot of them are not. So yes, oh, so pretty.
That's me.
I'm super excited to start adding that into all of the projects.
That's me. I'm a princess.
And you're a princess.
What?
And she also gave me and some other friends this
That's
handmade
me. I'm
chapstick.
a princess.
It's
I
by
got to be
Herbal Traditions,
princess
and it's
idea.
Honey Rose Lip Balm. I haven't
Let's
opened it yet and tried it. Is she very distracting? I'm really sorry if she's very distracting. I'm trying to focus, but she's distracting. And she gave this to us because it's from a local maker of things. Jenna is all about supporting local. So I'm really excited for that because I go through chapstick like crazy in the wintertime. I use it all the time. I use it during the summertime, but I go through it much more quickly in the wintertime. So I think that you are wearing a dress and a shirt. You look very nice. Go put the black one away.
Oh no, it's broken.
I currently have 4 chapsticks that are in use. I have one for work. I have one for my purse. I have one for my knitting bag, and then I have one in my jeans pocket for around the house. I do have another new thing that's not at all knitting related, but it is podcasting related because I've been drinking from it this whole time. It is a sugar skull style cup with a straw and a lid, and I needed to replace my ZK one because it was loved to death, because I'm really, really hard on my cups. I have this little awesome thing right here that knocks things off of my desk, so my cups hit the floor a lot. I take them around and they fall all the time. So I'm really, really hard, and I really like the cups with the straws. They're my favorite. If I could always drink out of a straw, a cold drink, not a hot drink, if I could always drink a cold drink out of a straw, I would. And this cup was way too expensive when it was Halloween time. It was $10, and I was like, oh, I really like it because it's awesome. I don't actually really like skulls, but I really like this sugar skull type design, where it's a skull but it's got paisleys. So I said to myself, I made a rule for it, because I make rules for everything. I don't know if you've noticed, but everything has rules or is a game or, yeah. I told myself that even though I really, really wanted it, I didn't really need it. I still don't need it, but I really wanted it. I told myself that if it was still there when the Halloween stuff at work got marked down to 70% off, I would get it. So it's a $3 cup. So I went with it. I am still reading the same 2 things because I haven't read that much this week. Did a lot of knitting, not a ton of reading. I'm almost finished with the Grey Wolf Throne, the Grey Wolf Queen. Whatever it is, whatever the 3rd book in the 7 Realms series is. I'm almost finished. I have like 20 pages to go. I was going to read it last night before bed, but then I couldn't find it. Turns out it had fallen at the foot of my bed. So I'll be finishing that tonight, and Picture of Dorian Gray. I'm still reading that. So that should be finished soon. And then I will be reading this, which I'm really excited about. Fairest. It is a kind of a companion book in the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I have talked about them before. It's this kind of dystopian series based on fairy tale characters, and Cinderella is a cyborg. Anyway, this is Lavana's story, and she is the queen of the people who live on the moon. It's due back at the library, I think on the 11th. Or maybe it's tomorrow. I haven't started it yet. I'll pay my late fees because a lot of people have it on hold, and I kind of feel like a jerk about that because I really, really hate when I go to check where my books on hold are and I see that people have had them out like 10 days past the due date. But it's really short, so I anticipate that being a pretty quick read, especially because I can knit on the sweater now that I don't have to do increases and decreases for the next foreseeable future. I can work on that and read at the same time. So that will be happening. And all of my modular projects are knit and readable. And so are my my tube socks. So most of what I'm working on can be worked on and read. Worked on while reading. Okay, I am going to start putting this in my software as I go to the store. So there will be new things next week that I purchased today. I will see you next week. Oh, I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string. I always hope that. And then I get to the end of the podcast and I can't remember if I've said it or not. But I'll see you next week. Bye. Okay, that's enough.